This is Dr. Quinlan with Quinlan Chiropractic Clinic from Coppell, Texas, and you're listening to the Dunham Business Radio Show.
Hi there, this is Lori Dunham with Dunham Business Radio. We won the 2019 Gray Bowl Show of the Year. We also got an award for community service, and I can't thank you enough for all of your support. We are on the next level, and we're going higher, and I can't do it without you, and I'm so grateful. Thank you so much, and stay tuned in.
Live from Arlington, Texas, it's the Dunham Business Radio Show. And here's your host, Lori Dunham.
Hello and good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Dunham Business Radio Show. I am your host, Lori Dunham. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate all your ongoing support. Just you being here makes my day happier. So thank you so much for tuning in. Please ping your friends and let them know we're here. We have a great guest to talk to tonight. He's going to talk about financial freedom, right? So if you are tired of the rat race and you want to find a way out, he has got a solution that works. He has helped thousands of people achieve financial freedom. And we're going to jump into that. But before we do, I want to bring on to the deck my most favorite co-host and inspiration of them all. Please welcome back to the show, Imani Simmons. Welcome.
Hi, Lori. Thank you so much for letting me come back and play with you.
I love playing with you. You're so much fun.
Thank you. You too. Like you say, if we're not having fun,
we're doing it wrong.
We should practice these things before we get on air.
Well, you know, this is all unscripted and it's a lot of fun to do, right? So we script it and then it's not fun, right?
You're the best, Lori.
So for everyone who's tuning in for the first time and seeing your beautiful face, tell them who you are, where you are, and what you do.
Hello, my name is Imani Simmons. I'm located in the beautiful Austin, Texas area. I am owner of Powerful Brain Coaching. I'm here to help you use the best tool that you've ever been given to live the life that you want to live. And I was telling Lori earlier that I have this new awesome tool by Kamusu Designs. It's called The Shift, and it's a calm whistle. And so what it does is for some folks who might be having a little bit of anxiety or just need to learn to breathe better, it actually slows down the exhale and helps you calm your mind and your brain. Hint, hint, Powerful Brain Coaching. So I'm just trying it out and I'm really liking it so far. It really works. And anything that can help us calm our brains, especially right now, I am supporting. And I'm really excited about today's guest. I have had the opportunity to talk with him a little, and his mission is beautiful. And I am so excited that we're going to get to share it with your listeners, Lori. This is amazing. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I want one of those whistles. So, you know, there's so many times like before the show, guests who haven't been on the radio before, a lot of times they'll say, no, I don't want to be on the radio. It's too scary. It's too nervous. And I'm too nervous about it. And what's interesting, and I would say 90% of the people who come on who say that after the show is over, they have so much fun and we relax and we have such a great time that they say, why did I wait so long?
That's your magic though, Lori.
Well,
that's your magic.
They put the magic in the whistle. And so now you can get the whistle with the Lori Dunham factor all weaved in there.
Oh yeah, we have to tell them the best part. It doesn't actually work as a whistle, but it just looks really cool and it slows down your breathing.
Show people how it works.
So you take a nice full inhale. It slows down and focuses your breathing, which helps tap into your parasympathetic system, which tells us, hey, there's no lion chasing us. We can relax. It helps decrease cortisol. I hope everybody here can take a second and prepare themselves, because today's guest, we're going to want to have our best thinking cap on, and we think best when we're relaxed.
Yes, absolutely. You know, I was expecting all the dogs in the neighborhood to come running. Don't you think?
Making enemies, yeah.
I was getting ready. I was like, I don't hear him barking. Well, I'm super excited. We're going to jump right in if you're ready. We're going to jump right in and talk about our amazing guests. You know, we always try to bring the very best of the best, and I think we hit gold tonight. Yeah, I'm really super excited. So, Robert Slattery is our guest. He's a speaker, consultant, real estate broker, and an author. He has been in the real estate industry for over 20 years, and he coaches people how to break free from the rat race using rental property income. He's dedicated himself to sharing this message around the world. He's a keynote speaker or workshop leader. His attendees and listeners have achieved financial dreams with his simple approach to money and time freedom. He knows that his process works, and we know it works too, because he now owns $7.5 million or more in real estate, and he's helped dozens of clients hit a 7-figure net worth. I'm ready for that. Like, how many commas is that, right? That's a lot of commas. I like to look at the zeros too. And so it enables these people to live the lives that they want. And so he has graciously agreed to come on our show tonight to share this message, tell us even more about who he is. So please help me make welcome to the show, Robert Slattery. Welcome.
Woo! Yes.
Wow, what an intro. Lori, thank you for having me here.
Oh, it's such an honor. Thank you so much for coming on and agreeing to be here. I think our show has just been elevated another level because you're here.
Wow. I feel like you've brought me up to another level. So it's that entrepreneurial back scratching circle that we're always looking for, right?
I love that. I love that. Right. Like, let's go, everybody. Now switch. Right. Well, Robert, let's jump in. Tell some of tell the audience, tell the whole audience, everyone listening is excited to meet you. So tell a little bit more. Who is Robert? Where are you? And how did you get started in real estate initially?
Well, that's my entire story, Lori. I'm going to have to unpack everything now. My name is Robert Slattery. I live in Tacoma, Washington, which is just south of Seattle and just west of Mount Rainier. We get to look at a beautiful, huge mountain every day, which is a real treat. I'm right in between a mountain and an ocean, so it's not a bad place to live. With everybody having to stay home over the past many months, we went out and bought a Jeep Rubicon, and we've been out driving around on mountain trails and really enjoying the Pacific Northwest. So about me, I own a real estate company, but I don't walk up and down the aisle at the grocery store asking people to buy or sell homes this year. My entire mission in life, actually my big, hairy, audacious goal, if you will, is I want to help 3.3 million people, that's 1% of the US population, break out of the rat race and take complete control of their time. And we use real estate as a vehicle to help that happen. We use rental properties and income from rental properties to help make that happen. My entire philosophy is pretty simple, Lori. You get two commodities in life. You get time and you get money. You got the rest of your life to make more money, but you can never make more time. So my mission is to help people realize that when today is gone, it's gone. So figure out how to take the societal norm of trading your time for money and turn it on its head. Let's get some money coming in each month so you don't have to worry about money. And then figure out what your gift is. What can you do to improve the world around you? And that's what being an entrepreneur is all about. Coming up with a great idea every day and running headlong at it, right?
That's right.
So that's me in a nutshell.
So, they say about an entrepreneur is you jump out of a perfectly good airplane and build the parachute on the way down.
I love that. I love that.
That's totally me.
I actually had the perfectly good airplane back in the day. Sometime in 2001, and I don't remember the exact date, but I woke up at about 2 o'clock in the morning, and I was sitting in the computer lab where I was working, because I was working in an IT career, a computer geek career. And it's like 2 a.m. and I lift my head up off the desk. I'm kind of foggy. And I noticed I had a keyboard impression in the side of my head. and the only thing going through my head at that moment was, I haven't seen the sun in 2 weeks. I had not seen the sun in 2 weeks. I was an early 20-something, and I was fresh into my career. And so long days were the normal, right? Because that's what we have to do. You get a job, and then you work long hours, and you work your way up the totem pole. And so I was working early mornings to late nights, and many times spending the night in my computer lab. I ate a lot of fast food, and this concept of having a life was completely foreign to me. I didn't have time to date. I didn't have time. I mean, there was no family. I had no time to date. I worked. It's all I did.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed the challenge of my job, but I was starting to get this idea in my head that if something doesn't change, I'm going to die in my 40s of a massive heart attack. Mm-hmm. And a few weeks later, my family was meeting in Denver, Colorado for a trip out there. And I had an uncle out there. And this man's life was the opposite of mine. This guy lived in a huge house on a big piece of land. He got up when he felt like it in the morning. He would sleep in until 8, 9 o'clock, get up and start his day. He drove a new truck, which was a big deal for me. I'm a truck guy. And he would buy a new truck every 2 years with cash. He'd be like, well, the tires are getting a little low on this one. And so he'd take it to the dealership, and they'd say, well, we'll give you this. And he would just write a check for the difference. And he would buy a new truck every 2 years.
See, I would buy new tires.
Well, and so I'm looking at this guy's life, and I'm like, I want that. How did he do this?
Yeah.
And it turns out that he had these wonderful people called tenants that lived in apartments that he owned. They gave him money every month that allowed him to live the lifestyle that he wants to live. And so you ask where I got my start. I was working my 40, 60, 80, 100 hours a week at my job. But I saw that and I said, I want that. And so when I got home after that trip, I devoted myself to learning everything I could about real estate. And I never wanted to sling houses. That wasn't really my thing. I mean, I'm sure that there are several folks in your audience who are real estate agents, and I'm sure that they're sitting there tearing their hair out saying, how do I compete with these multiple offer situations? And how do I not waive this contingency or do that? And I got to tell you, I've always looked at real estate a little differently. It's a vehicle to get you from point A to point B. And so I've never been stuck on one product. And that, if anything, has kind of been the secret to my success, because I know what the end goal is. The end goal, as you say yourself, is financial freedom. So how do we get there? And that's where I've been going for the past 18 years now professionally, 21 years dabbling in this thing. So that's what I do. I've had some very painful and expensive mistakes along the way, but that's half of being an entrepreneur, right? You get hit and you say, boy, I don't want to get hit like that again. And hopefully you learn and grow from there.
I would say after 21 years, I wouldn't call it dabbling anymore, Robert.
Fair enough.
I think you're all in. Yeah.
Well, at this point I am. Our company is growing. We are now taking our mission to several other cities and states, and we will be a nationwide company over the next 2 years. So yeah, we're beyond dabbling at this point. We are all in. Pushed all my chips into the middle of the table and rock and roll, baby. Here we go.
That's right. We're all in. We're all in looking for, I don't even know how to play poker. What would I say? What would I say?
Royal flush.
We're looking for a royal flush. We're looking for 2 pair aces. What do we do?
What you're looking for is the nuts. The nuts means nothing can beat you. The nuts, N-U-T-S, nothing can beat you.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I love it. So, okay, so let's talk about real estate, right? So a lot of people are interested. They've real estate investing is hot, right? It depends on the market, but you're up there in Washington, we're in Texas, and right now, I mean, Dallas-Fort Worth, the market is just exploding. And of course, we're recording this a little bit early, so by the time that our audience sees this, the market may have cooled off, but not likely. I mean, it's always hot in Dallas-Fort Worth. So let's talk a little bit about real estate. There's a misconception that it's hard to get started in real estate. And I've heard, the experts, they all, I'm going to say experts, right? The people who are pitching these programs, they say, well, you can get started, no money down, and it doesn't cost anything. And to some extent, it might be a little true, but yeah. And there's 13 different strategies to get in and 8 or 9 different strategies to get out. And how do you know which one to go and which one works? And holding a rental property versus getting a rental, and do you, manage the maintenance request yourself? Do you get a property manager? Do you get all kinds of things to talk about. So,
I would like to just point out that Lori and I have not talked at all before this, and she is coming up with great leading questions. Your listeners are so blessed right now to have these questions coming out. I got to tell you, I sit down with our typical clients at a Starbucks. I own 2 office buildings. They're beautiful. I've got great conference rooms. But I love meeting people at Starbucks or at a coffee shop or someplace that is neutral zone, because we start talking about money, and that's a real uncomfortable thing. But before we ever talk about real estate, Lori, the first question we come out with is, I'll sit down and, hey, Robert, nice to meet you. And now we're there. And the first question I say is, so how much money do you need to make each month to live the lifestyle you want to live? And then we let the pregnant pause take its place here. And they call it pregnant because it gives birth to the entire context of the conversation that comes afterwards. Because most people don't think like that. What do people think like? They think, I'm working a job, I get a paycheck every week, every 2 weeks, every month, whatever. I structure my life on the schedule of that paycheck. If I want my paycheck to be bigger, I have to work more. If I want my paycheck to be less, I work less. If I want to take a vacation, I have to go beg, plead my boss to give me time off of work. Well, I'll tell you what. I take people and I put them back on their heels, because I say, what if we could replace your income? Figure out your best month ever. What was that amount? And what if we could get that to come in every month, whether you got up and went to work or not? What would you do with your life? And Lori, you'd be stunned at how many people start crying when I ask that question. I hear people tell me about how they have not been on a honeymoon with their spouse. They've been married for 10, 15, 20 years. I have people tell me that they've been watching their kids grow up in pictures. I have people tell me that they haven't taken a vacation in 3, 4, 5 years. I have people that tell me I can't even imagine not going to work because my car doesn't, my car needs gas, or I need this, or I need that. And what I do is I first back people up to realize God did not put you on this planet to work a 9 to 5 to get somebody else rich.
Amen to that. Amen.
Entrepreneurs, listen up. You are not here to make other people rich. You are here to improve the lives of everyone around you. I'm going to take a quick sidestep. Zig Ziglar talks about this. There are 4 steps to success. And I'm a big, big proponent of this. So this comes out when I'm talking to people. The first step is called survival. And most of your listeners should know what this still tastes like, because I have a 7-figure net worth and I remember what survival tastes like. That is where you're living hand to mouth, where you are not 100% sure that you've got food on the table tomorrow, where you're trying to figure out, how am I going to keep the lights on? That's survival. The second step, if you're thinking about a staircase, right? The second step is called stability. And stability is, okay, I've got a job, I have consistent income coming in, I'm not immune from economic disturbance, but at least I'm able to eat, and my lights are on, and my cell phone works, and there we go. I can put gas in my car once every week and a half or 2 weeks. That's stability. The third step is called success. And success is where you've made some money, you've got your house, you've probably got a couple of toys, and you're probably comfortable. You might not be completely immune from a huge economic event, but you're doing okay. That's where most people stop, at that success level. But there's a fourth step, and that fourth step is called significance. And significance is where you've made your money, where you're not focused about, how do I make more money? And your focus now turns around to the people around you, and you say, how can I show him how to do that? How can I show her how to do that? How can I show these people how to achieve what I've figured out? And that's what I'm aspiring to do. And that's what I'm trying to inspire folks to think about when we start having these conversations. I don't want you to drive a fancy Lamborghini down the street to show off for people at the stoplight. I want you to be an impactful person in the lives of your spouse, in the lives of your children, in the lives of everyone who you come in contact with. And that is a pretty deep conversation to start off with at a Starbucks, okay? So that's where we start. And I say this is starting with your why. Everything has to start with your why. And so once you've established why you want to make a change in your life and what your goal is, everything else can fall in place. So I went on a bit of a rant there, but that's my, I get passionate about this. I see too many people who are striving for someday, and they're chasing success. And what's Solomon saying in Ecclesiastes? He says that the chasing success is like chasing the wind, right? Success is a journey. And so, figure out your why. And entrepreneurs out there, everybody wants to be rich. All right. Everybody gets that. That's a lame excuse for being an entrepreneur. That is a lame excuse for saying, I'm going to jump out of the airplane and build my parachute on the way down. Tell me why you want to jump out of the plane, and I will give you the what and the how. That's where I'm at. So we start out there. We start out with the goal. If your goal is $5,000 a month, if it's $10,000 a month, if it's $100,000 a month, if it's $1,000 a month, you just need a goal. It's like having a roadmap. If you want to get from Los Angeles to New York, you need a roadmap. And you know that getting to New York is the goal. Well, now you can just plot your course. And that's exactly what I do. Mm-hmm. It's not quick. It's not sexy. I'm not your house flippers that you see on HGTV. I will not make you hundreds of thousands of dollars in the next 34 minutes with a couple of commercial breaks. But I do show people how to make better than 25% per year return on their money, and how to completely replace their income in an average of about 7 to 10 years. And then that replacement income will automatically adjust for inflation forever. So that's what I do.
Let's go back and talk about the why. It's so important that you have a strong why. And, I talk to entrepreneurs and business owners all the time. I mean, that's what I do. And even outside the radio program, I have my own business, and that's what I do is I connect, promote, and solve business problems across multiple platforms. And so that opens up an opportunity for me to talk to business owners of all kinds. And the first thing I like to ask them is, what is their why? And I find a lot of times that they target their why on other people, like, my husband, my family. I want my husband to come home from his job, or I want my kids to have the legacy money, or I want the the kids to not have a need. And I think, that's okay. And that's a good okay. But where is the why within you? You have to get out of bed every morning, right? And I guess if the grandkids are, your reason, then okay. But I really believe that there's got to be a why within you as the business owner that drives you. And I think the other people or the other things that you're tagging onto, that's just secondary, So what would you say to someone who says, I don't have a why. I don't know why I want to do any of this. I know that I'm supposed to do it, or there's it's a good opportunity, or it's I want to support my husband in this role or in this business, but I don't know what my why is. How can you help somebody find a why without pointing them to Simon Sinek's book, Start With Why, right? So without just, taking the easy road, how do you have a conversation and help somebody really identify the fire within them? Because that's what the why is the fire within you. What would you say to someone who says, I don't know what my why is, Robert?
That's really, really profound. Most of these questions can be predicted in advance. I would probably say, Lori, that everyone has gifts, okay? And everyone's given gifts, and God gave me some gifts, and He gave you gifts, and I've identified my two gifts. The first one is I have absolutely no emotional attachment to money. And that drives my wife crazy because money it's a tool, right? It comes, it goes, and whatever. Whereas my wife likes to, keep it in a nice little box, and there she knows. Anyway, second thing is I read people extremely well. And when I'm having these conversations with people, I have a hard time believing that someone would not have a why and would identify themselves as an entrepreneur. Because to be an entrepreneur, it's from the Latin entreprende, one who takes risk. You have to be willing to step out in front of a moving bus. You have to be willing to hopefully put on some armor, but go into battle every day. And anybody who is listening to this podcast who is in a business bigger than just themselves. And so I'm obviously our network marketers and our real estate agents, our sole proprietors, that's one thing. But if you've read Dave Ramsey's EntreLeadership, he will tell you one of the scariest moments in a business owner's life is when you hire that first person. And I have a payroll that I have to meet. I've got 20 people on my staff, and I have the power of the pen over their paycheck. And so I have to ask myself, why am I doing this? I could go out and make my own money. I'm not worried about me. So why am I doing this? And so if you're asking any other entrepreneur, why are you doing this? I have never yet found, Lori, somebody who didn't have an answer for that. Some of the answers are pretty weak, all right? And some of the answers are pretty lame.
Yeah.
I want to have a nice boat. I want to have a nice car. I want to have a nice house. I want to have stuff, right? Well, great. Okay, that's great. The underlying fire will only ignite and burn hot enough to get you moving if your why is meaningful. Because like Dave Ramsey says, you can only eat so much lobster before it tastes like soap. And you can only have so many toys before the allure, the shiny object just wears off. I've owned the $150,000 car. I thought I was really cool until I had a huge rock come through the windshield at me. And then I was like, wow, $150,000 car, $20,000 car, rocks still come through windshields.
Right?
No joke. Okay. I've had the expensive toys, and now I just sold off one of my toys, and I felt like I took a weight off my shoulders. It was great. Talk about why. Talk about what you're going to be doing with your life. And that, I've got to believe that if you're an entrepreneur, if you're listening to the Lori Dunham program, you have a desire for something better than what you have. And that's usually involved, that will usually involve travel. The number one answer I hear from people why they want to make more money: I want to travel. Number two reason: I want to spend more time with family. Now, I would think you could do both of those at the same time, but travel, spend time with family. And
I travel to get away from family.
I've been invited on 2 business outings, 2 business retreats recently. And on both of them, I said, can I bring my wife? And they said, no, this is just for whatever it is. And I said, that's not going to work for me. But I totally get that. I totally get that. Folks have different whys. Many people have repressed feelings of anger, doubt, guilt, that a lot of people, that's their anchor. They can't get beyond that. And that holds them back in business, holds them back in life, right? You have to learn to give yourself some grace and figure out what you don't like about your life and how to move forward from that. That is part of the entrepreneurial journey. I'm kind of off script right now, but
there's no script.
You got me going here.
Conversation, it's getting to know your heart and learning about us and helping our audience along the way. So yeah, this just a conversation between friends.
No, you asked about why. The how and the what are the easy part. You have to focus, and I'm speaking to your listeners now. You have to focus on your underlying reason for putting on the armor and realizing people are going to come at you with spears. And sometimes those spears are going to deflect because you're going to be prepared for it. And sometimes they're going to go straight through and you're going to feel it. And that, my friends, is the fun of being an entrepreneur. You're the pioneer.
The more arrows you have in your back, the more activity you've been around.
Exactly. So knowing your why is invaluable and it's critical. You must know why you're doing what you're doing. And it can't just be, I want to make more money.
Yeah.
All right. You go out and you make a bunch of money, and then what?
Right.
Money is paper. Money is numbers on a computer. Money is a big pile of gold. It's whatever. It's not a great companion, and it doesn't build very good memories. It's what you do with it. Money is a tool.
That's right.
Money is amoral. Dave Ramsey says it's like a brick. It can either be used to shatter a window or used to build a hospital. I say money is like alcohol, right? Money and alcohol, the more of it you have, the more your true self comes out. If you are a magnanimous person and you want to see good things happening in the world around you, you're going to be a happy drunk. And you're also going to be a really great person to be around if you've got money in your bank account. If all you're trying to do is make other people feel less than you, then if you are drunk, you're going to be a jerk. And if you have a lot of money, you're going to be a jerk.
Yeah. I've said that before, money only magnifies who you really are. Because I've had conversations with entrepreneurs too, who might be stuck with getting to the next level financially. And so we'll talk about money, right? Because that's the tool they're going to use to get to the next level. I mean, you don't pay your bills with smiles. I mean, you can, I guess, depending on what you do. But technically, usually you don't pay the electric bill by smiling, right? You got to have the money, right? And so we have conversations with entrepreneurs, and we'll talk about, where do you want to go? What does your next level look like? And they'll say, well, I don't really want a lot of money because I don't know what to do with it. I'm not used to having a lot of money. And I totally get that, right? Because as an employee, you're kind of tapped out at what that particular job will do for you, right? At that particular level, you're only allowed to make $45,000 or $80,000 as an employee. And so we get kind of wrapped into that whole mentality of, well, gosh, I mean, I could ask for more money. If I'm an entrepreneur, yeah, I guess I could make more, but I'm afraid to make more because what am I going to do with it? Well, what do you do with the 40 and the 80 now besides pay your bills? What kind of person are you? So money will only magnify who you already are. Like you said, if you're a nice person, you're going to be a nice person with money. If you're a jerk, you're going to be a jerk with money. I mean, that's just really how it all boils down.
That's
and
right.
There's other entrepreneurs out there that say, going back to the cycle of significance that you talked about, where it's survival and stability and then success. Well, a lot of them just say, I don't want any more money because I'm happy where I am. And I look at them and I say to them, well, that's really selfish. I'm going to be totally blunt with you, but that's really selfish to just take care of you. You think God put you here to take care of you? The money will come in and just stop like clogged pipe. You're meant to be a conduit for the money to flow through you so that you can be a significance to help other people up, not to put other people down, and to help other people achieve their dreams. And God gives you the money, he gives you the ability, he gives you the skill and the passion to pass that forward onto the next person and help pull them up. And so many times when they say that to me, I'm sorry. I get offended. I say, I'm sorry, you're going down the wrong path. If you want my help, this is where we are going to, start our journey right here with this mindset of not being selfish and not being afraid of money, because money's only energy. We only put value to it because everybody says $1 worth $1. But if I wrote on a piece of paper an IOU and I put $30, that now is got value, right? So it's a white piece of paper with some writing on it. It says, okay, now I owe Robert $30. And now that becomes of value to Robert. Well, it's no different from a $1 bill, $50 bill, $100 bill. You write a check, that's value, right? It's all because we say it has value. So why be afraid of that if we can write our own value on something, our own destiny on something?
So when you're able to replace that mindset of thinking about money as you and I are on the same page, it's just a medium of exchange. It's a way to trade your goods or services or your gifts with other people without having to trade, without the butcher having to trade steaks for a couple loaves of bread, right? And so that makes sense. Where I have the conversation with folks is I take them to the next step. I say, all right, if you want to break out of this thing called the rat race, where you have to work X amount of hours to make X amount of money to work your way down to the hypothetical someday, whatever retirement means to you, how do we break out of that? And I am not a purveyor of the get rich quick mindset. Sorry guys, if you're here looking for a way to make your next $10,000 in 24 hours by clicking on some Nigerian prince's email, that's not what this is. But what I do is I show people how to think a little bit differently about money. And the way that we do that is, instead of putting all of our money into a mutual fund or a savings account, we reallocate portions of our money towards acquiring real properties that will produce more income each month than they cost. And there's a formula to that, right? Mm-hmm. It's pretty simple. Like I said, math wins. So you've got 4 key metrics that we look at. We look at cash flow. We look at the value of appreciation, which is how much a property goes up each year. We look at the benefits of depreciation, along with some other tax benefits. And we look at debt reduction. I'm not a big debt guy, but I will use debt to acquire an asset that somebody else is going to pay off for me. And in my use case, I have these nice people called tenants who pay things off for me. So like you mentioned earlier, yeah, I sound really cool when I say I own $7.5 million in real estate. Folks, if you had a big pile of money in a big mountain and you had a wheelbarrow and you wanted to spend some of that money, so you took your wheelbarrow to your big pile of money and you filled up the wheelbarrow and you carted it away, eventually your mountain would dwindle to nothing. I don't care about the $7.5 million. That's just a number that makes me sound really cool. What I care about is the $40,000 a month that my tenants pay me for owning that property and letting them use it, because I have huge bills that go along with it. And it doesn't matter if we're talking $2,000 a month or $20,000 a month, everything's relative. But my tenants, who are really nice people, pay down that debt for me. And as they pay it down, the property values go up, and we find ourselves in a situation where we're not worried about money as much anymore. So what I teach people and what my clients learn from me is, first and foremost, we establish that why, and then we dig in on getting their money right. They have to figure out how to handle money and how to use their money. Robert Kiyosaki says that your money needs to be an employee, right? Every dollar is an employee. So send it off to work for you. Okay. Grant Cardone has some great guidance on mindset regarding money. Dave Ramsey has the best money management system ever written in a book. And if you're bad with money, if you're worried about money, pick up the Total Money Makeover. It's like $10 during his $10 book sale. It might be $15 to $20. It is worth hundreds of thousands of dollars to you if you just buy it and read it. So you get your money right. Get your money to a point where it's stable and it starts working for you instead of just disappearing. There's a book by a guy that I just read who told me that I should be able to live on a $2,000 a month budget, and that I should sell my car and ride a bicycle everywhere. And this is the way that I eventually get ahead. And I wanted to slap this guy because, guys, I drive a car that I'm proud to drive. I didn't buy it new. I drive a 2014 Tesla. I also have an F-350 that I love. And I told you that I just bought a Rubicon because I wanted to get out. And so I own vehicles that I like to drive. I love driving. That's part of me. You may not like driving. That's fine. I want you to live the life you want to live. Get your money right. Stop wasting your money. Put your money into things that will pay for you to have the lifestyle you want to live. And then let that income pay for you to have the toys you want. And I'll tell you, you get good at this. You get to a point in March, we bought a house and I wrote a check for it because my tenants had paid off enough equity in one of my buildings that I refinanced it, and I pulled out enough money from that building that our house is free and clear. Take that, Dave Ramsey. That's the goal, right? So we talk about getting your money right. That is, I'm very passionate about this. Yeah. And then before we ever talk about buying real estate, we talk about what real estate is and what real estate is not. Real estate is not a get-rich-quick scheme. Sorry. There are ways that they'll show you on HGTV that Vanilla Ice is able to go out and buy a house for 22 cents and he's able to sell it for $500 million. And now he's able to drive a Bentley. Okay. Sorry, that's not how it works in the real world. Right. And I can give anybody specific scare stories if they want to drop me a line after this. But what is real estate? Real estate is a highly leveraged, illiquid investment. It is simply a vehicle, guys. It's a bus. You pick the vehicle that is right for your situation. So what's right for Lori Dunham might not be what's right for Robert Slattery, and what's right for me might not be right for one of your listeners. We have to identify what the right property, what the right vehicle is for you. And that's part of our process. We talk about how you make your money on the buy. When you buy a piece of property, you make your money when you buy it. If you buy it too high, you're going to be chasing that price the entire time you own it. We also talk about how you only get hurt when you sell. And these are just some best practices that we talk about. And then I do dig into different investment methods. I'll talk about BRRRR is the cool one right now that everybody's chasing, the BRRRR method. Folks talk about vacation rentals. Folks talk about buying a single family home or buying a condo, or should I buy an apartment building, or should I buy a restaurant? What should I buy? I mean, what makes sense? And there are different investments for different people. So we talk about that specifically. Before you ever talk about buying a piece of property, you need to understand why different investments make sense. There's that why word again.
That's right.
And then from there, we dig into the specifics of searching for specific properties that meet your specific criteria. If you know what you're looking for and what your goal is, we show you how to look for that specific property in the specific area that makes sense for you. All right. We talk about how to analyze those properties, because you got to make some assumptions based on the information that you're looking at. After you find something that looks kind of cool, you don't just go out and buy the first property that looks cool. You do some math on it. And then we talk about how to write an offer and do an inspection and verify that the property actually makes sense for what you want it to do. That's called due diligence, right? And we go through that entire process. We teach people how to figure this out. And everything from what is title insurance, what is escrow, what does it mean to close on a property? And from there, now you know what you need to know, except 3 T's: toilets, tenants, and taxes. Mm-hmm. So you go out and you buy a rental property, and then you have to deal with people.
Right.
Our business is real easy until you get people involved, right?
Right. But
So
that's when you get a property manager to take all the calls in the middle of the night.
potentially. See, here's my thing, and I'm a contrarian on this. I want to see people manage their own properties until they've got at least 10 units. And the reason why is you need to learn what it takes to manage your properties. That way you can keep an eye on your property manager and make sure they're doing it right. You don't need to micromanage your manager, but you need to understand what all goes into it, because we have we own a property management company. Okay. We've got almost just under 200 doors now under management, and our goal is to be at 300 within the next year. So our goal is to provide excellent service. Well, if an owner has never managed their own property, they don't understand some of the moving parts that go into that. So we teach our clients this as well, how to manage properties, how to screen for tenants, what is stabilization, how do you mitigate risk, and how do you put together maintenance plans, things like that.
Yeah.
And so that's all part of our training program. And then the last part is pulling it all together. We put people through a 7-week course where they're able to put together their own little game plan, their own notebook, and they open it up and it's Lori's game plan. And they can go page to page and they go, okay, here, I got my money right. I've got my plan as to what makes sense for me. And then once they built their portfolio, this is the best part, Lori. Once they built their portfolio, I'm the only real estate guy you will ever meet who will tell you to stop buying. Because now the magic of compound interest and debt reduction come together, and your tenants, who are really nice people, will pay off the entire portfolio. It takes about 7 years, start to finish, if you never put another dime into your property, for your tenants to completely pay off a portfolio for you. Now, while these properties are sitting there, they're going up in value, debt's going down, rents go up an average of 5% a year. And what it leaves you with is a machine that gives you money every month that automatically adjusts for inflation as time goes on. So that's what we do. That's my entire system. You now know everything I know. I can go.
So Imani, what do you think about all of this? Have you ever considered real estate investing?
Yes, I'm a former realtor and I'm married into a real estate investment family. I'm very blessed. And actually what's interesting is everything Robert's saying for me is so logical. Mm-hmm. And the thing, my brain, you know who I am, my brain's over here going, damn, Robert's an amazing coach.
Yes.
That's what I'm thinking. And I love the Zig Ziglar reference. For me, I heard the fourth one is not only significance. For me, I hear service, right? Because Lori knows who I am. Every time I get on, I want to say, we are here to serve each other. We are here to serve each other. You know you have made it when you have served many people the way that you were intended to serve. And so when there's a big why, when there's a why for me, my why is always tied to who am I serving? And I love it, Robert, because I can tell you are a servant. You're here to make a difference in people's lives. Significant service difference. And I applaud you, and I think you're an amazing coach. I just love your coaching style.
I really appreciate that. Thank you. I'm one of the main reasons that I'm so excited to be here on the program is I'm trying to get the word out so that folks can come learn this. And Lori, can I throw out a gift for your listeners?
Oh my gosh, we would love that. Thank you so much. Yeah,
so
please.
We actually have a 7-week course that's online that I teach this. It's a one-to-many teaching program, and what I just went through is our 7-week program, and that's a $1,000 program. It's $997. And actually I'm about to change something that we put in place. So I'll need to make a note for my people. But if folks go to blackwellgift.com/Dunham, and this is only for Lori's people, so don't tell anybody else, listeners. But if you go to blackwellgift.com/Dunham, you can download a free report that talks about the 5 big mistakes that folks make when they're buying their first rental property. And there is a code there that if folks want to sign up for my 7-week course, I will save Lori Dunham's listeners 50% on the cost of enrolling for that course.
Wow.
It's usually only a 20% discount, but I love your mission and I love what you girls are doing over here. So I'd really like to help out your listeners.
Wow.
I told y'all he was the servant. I told you.
Thank you, Robert. That's so generous. Thank you so much. So yeah, please, everybody listening, go to that website, get your free download, and then also enroll in the program. 50% off. We've not had a guest ever offer 50% before. And we're just so honored, Thank you so much, Robert. That's great. That's great.
I appreciate you having me here.
For sure. You know, we've gone the whole hour. We haven't even taken a commercial break. It's just amazing. So we'll just give a quick shout out then to all of our sponsors, all of our supporters, our advertisers. You know, we can't do this without you, and we really appreciate you. So Quinlan Chiropractic Clinic in Capel, Teresa with the Women's Real Estate Investor Network, Dawn over at Jovi Strategies. Thank you all so much for always being a part of the show. We really appreciate you. And so let's just talk about real quick. People think that getting into real estate is hard because it's going to take money, right? I mean, we really do, even though it's energy, maybe, you know, it's a tool, but it really is also people's reality, right? There's only so much in the bank that, you know, so how do you approach it when somebody says, well, it costs too much money for me to get into real estate? What are 1-2 tips you can tell them?
Well, the question, I turn it right back on them and I say, how much is too much, right? Grant Cardone talks about the price of a book. The value of a book is not the $20 you spent on it. The value of a book, I literally bought a book that has made me over $1 million. And that book cost me $20, but it shifted my mindset. And that book inspired me to spend several tens of thousands of dollars more on personal development in specific ways. So when you're talking about real estate, how much does it cost to get into real estate? Well, I ask you, how much does it cost to buy a car, right? You could buy a $50 hoopty or you could buy a $100,000 Mercedes. To get into real estate, you have to have the plan. And I will tell you that for our veterans, thank you very much for your service. I can get you started investing in real estate with nothing out of your pocket. And I did it recently for 2 brothers who, one was a Navy guy and one was a Marine guy. For our armed forces folks, they all just made jabs at both those guys, which is great. If you are a veteran, you can get started with nothing down. My typical client puts 20 to 25% down on a piece of property. Depends on where you're at in the United States. If you are in Texas, you have options that I don't have in Washington. If I'm in Washington, there are options I have that someone in California might not have. So it's a very dynamic answer. I would tell you, more important than how much money do you have to put down is how stable are you financially? Get out of debt. Pay off your stupid debt, which is credit cards, which is car loans, which is student loans. That's all stupid debt. Okay, you're carrying around stupid debt, get rid of it. And Dave Ramsey has a great model for that. I depart from Dave when it comes to buying real estate with debt. If I'm buying something with debt, because debt is risk. Everybody needs to hear that. Debt is risk. Okay, Proverbs, the borrower is slave to the lender. It's 100% true. But if you borrow money to buy an asset that somebody else is going to pay for, which are our nice tenants, right? In a worst case scenario, everything goes wrong. You can cut off that asset if it becomes a liability and let it go. So the model that I follow, I want everyone to have their home, their primary, free and clear. And if they have debt, I want it attached to their rental properties. And then I want their tenants to pay off those rental properties as quickly as possible. What you need to start isn't a number in the bank. What you need to start is a plan.
That's great. Yeah, and plan is the perfect answer. Thank you for that. And the strategy is really what's the key, right? That's where you're going to find value. So change your mindset, change your future. You know, that's really what this whole message has been about with Robert. So thank you so much for being on the show, Robert. We really appreciate you.
Lori, thank you so much for having me here.
Imani, thanks again for joining in and having fun with us today.
Thank you so much. This was just amazing, Robert. You taught me so much. I appreciate you.
If you would like to be a guest on the Dunham Business Radio Show, it's really super simple. Just send an email to DunhamBusinessRadio@gmail.com. If you know anybody that would like to work with Robert, be sure to go to his website and check that out. And of course, get the amazing gift that he has offered, 50% off his online course, 7 weeks could change your life. And when it does, we want you to write back and let us know what change it's made for you. But until next week, everybody, stay on top of the world.
Thanks for listening to the Dunham Business Radio Show. Be sure to follow us at Dunham Business Radio and check out DunhamBusinessRadio.com for more info.
I'm on top of the world, now I'm living, and the good just gets better, keeps on giving. Not even close to the end, it's just beginning.